So I'm excited here. There's another episode of Wolfe Bites here with Andrew Bermudez of Digsy AI company, and I've been following for a long time. Andrew, I've been following you. It's awesome everything you're doing out there. You want to tell us a little bit about first Digsy AI, about yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into some topics.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Barry. I've been looking for this for a long time.
Likewise.
Actually, it's getdigsy.com is a commercial real estate search engine. Digsy AI is a tool that we provide on the side for people that want to do outbound lead generation. Yeah, so basically I was a commercial real estate broker from 99 to 2012. I left, started a couple companies, and about 4.5 years ago I started Digsy as a way for brokers and commercial real estate professionals to market their properties directly to the end user, so the consumer, meaning tenants, owner users, and investors. And basically it's a free search engine for them. So it's an additional avenue to be able to get your properties out there. We rank high on Google. And then what it is for brokers, for the end user, the consumer, it's a search engine so they can access all the inventory. But for brokers and professionals, we basically allow them to generate more leads. And then we have a suite of tools that integrate to help them, expose that even larger, like through, digital marketing and things like that.
No, it's awesome. We've actually just started using Digsy, actually.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And I've seen some activity on your end, so you're putting out some good listings out there. So I can definitely see what people are reaching out to you.
Yeah, no, certainly. So Andrew, it's exciting. I mean, I see you all over on LinkedIn in particular. That's kind of where I spend more of my time on the social media side. So you've been on the brokerage side. You've been on you're serving the brokerage community. What are you seeing that, folks that, you talk about, and even in your newsletter, about hacks that, shortcuts that brokers and folks in sales, frankly, could be using that just help them save time, get to their clients, get to their customers? What do you think really is working now that maybe most brokers or most salespeople aren't doing as well as they could be?
Great question. So one thing that I'll tie in what we're doing, and then I'll kind of just go 360 so you can kind of see where the brokers are kind of missing the opportunity. Yeah. So one thing that we understand is that commercial real estate professionals are always going after. They're going after trying to figure out ways to generate leads, whether it's tenant rep assignments, whether it's owner user assignments, whether it's selling their building, finding a tenant or a buyer for their building, finding more landlords, etc. So that's really, and because of that's what it is, and our platform, as a search engine and lead generation platform, that's what we do. We understood that in order to be in front of brokers and really, stay top of mind with them, and brokers are busy. Another search engine. Why are we going to go there? Right? We have to drive value and say, okay, well, it sounds like what this crazy guy, Andrew, he's not smoking crack. He's actually talking about things that I've tried and that work. So think about that, right? So the content that we basically do is we call them commercial real estate hacks, because they're things that we've either tried or proven, or there's statistics behind that we've tested or customers test, or we've built into products, right? So that brokers don't have to think about that. The number one thing that I see is that brokers do not understand their customer at all, at all. So what you see a lot of brokers do is like, hey, they post on LinkedIn, social media, et cetera. They don't even use ads really. What you see is they go on, hey, an email blast, I just closed this deal. An email blast, here's a property for sale. An email blast, here's this property for lease. An email blast, do you need space?
Nothing but me.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, like, you got to take a look at it, right? Like, there's leads currently in the market. There's leads who are thinking of being in the market. And then there's leads who will be in the market at some point in the future. So leads in the market usually close within 90 days if it's a lease, 90 days to maybe 6 to 8 months if it's a purchase. Then you've got, maybe like 4 to like 12 months if they're thinking of being in the market, and you have the other ones that you want to stay in front of, right? That's why it's important that the people you stay in front of is a smaller number of people and things. So like, for example, Barry, you're not going to stay in front of people and investing all this time and energy putting out content, just stay in front of the $500,000 transaction. You've got a team to support. You want to be in front of the 3, 4, 5, 10 million triple net investment, or et cetera, right? Yep. So they don't understand their customer, because you can understand this. If I'm in tenant rep, how often is a tenant in the market looking for space?
Just every probably 5 to 10 years, I would think. Give or take.
Like 3, 5, 7 years, depending on the size of the company, right? And what are the brokers doing? They're saying, do you need space? Here's a space for lease. Here's this, here's that. They don't care about that.
Right.
Well, what does and a majority of the decision makers are CEOs or CFOs, et cetera. What do they care about in their organization? They care about their industry.
Yeah.
Now, it's really hard if you care if to focus in one industry and say, hey, here's stuff about crowdfunding or here's stuff about biotech. Brokers aren't scientists. But if you go deeper, what's one thing that all of these decision makers have in common? Motivating teams,
Mhm.
raising funds. They care about how do we deal with this COVID thing. We don't care about reentry. We're not going back into the office. We don't want to put our employees at risk. What do we do with the existing office space that we're paying for that we don't need? What are we doing with our restaurant that has been closed for 7 months, right? That's what they care about right now. But all they care about is information that will enrich their lives. And if you look at what we've done, right, is the content that Digsy drives, the commercial real estate hacks and the lead generation tips and all of this stuff is all around what the broker wants. They want to generate more clients.
Which is your
So,
customer.
I understand my customer,
Right. You're
right?
focused on
Now,
your customer. Right.
and yeah, well, are we saying, hey, go list on Digsy? Like, yeah, we do it at the beginning of the video if we're doing a video, et cetera. But most of the time, we're just trying to stay visible, which is why we wear the shirt
Yeah.
all the time, right? So then we understand that as long as we do that and we put questions, as long as we engage with people on social media, we get people signing up for CRE hacks and the open rate's like 70%. It's crazy,
Awesome.
right? So I've never seen like that percentage. Is like maybe the most I've ever seen traditionally is like 15 to 25%.
Right.
So that's the one thing. Now, if I'm targeting buyers, you got to understand that most of the time, if it's an owner user buyer, then they're going to be in the market here and there. So it's great to talk about real estate, but that should be like 15 to 20% if your customer is a tenant or an owner user that's essentially running a business.
Right.
Then you want to give them content that is interesting to them so that you have permission to contact them again and they would want to unsubscribe, whether it's email. And I'm big on email, as you know, and I'm also big on social media, and I'll explain why. The second thing is, now if you're like yourself, Barry, where you're on the investment side and you're talking to building owners, et cetera, what do they care about?
The building owners. Yeah, they want information. I mean, it's what's happening in the market, what's the lead, to a degree, the rental market, less so now, but they want information about their company, the sector, the business. I mean, things like that. What's important to them, depending on their industry they're in.
Right, and you have two types, right? You have the building owners who are owner users, right? Who are curious about what their building's worth.
Yeah.
They're also worried about like, okay, my company's making less money and I'm having a hard time paying my mortgage. But then you have the investors, right? And the investors always want to know what's out there and what they can do to improve the ROI on their properties.
Right.
And the great thing about owner users are not in the market all the time, right? They're kind of like a mix between a tenant and an investor, but they're more concerned about, hey, I'm paying the mortgage, my rent is this, do I do a sale leaseback, what are my options, etc. But they're running a business, so they want the content on how to raise funds. They want the content on, hey, how do you drive culture? How do you recruit great talent? How do you keep great talent? How do you do all these things? Like, what are some quote unquote CEO hacks, right?
They always have, not just that moment.
Exactly, and that type of content, whether if you're sending emails and things like that, you can just always weave in. But the easiest thing for a tenant rep and an owner user broker to do is basically build their whole entire content on their newsletters, emails that they send their network, anything they see on social media, promote it via ads. It's about growth, because everybody wants somebody that's growing, that wants to grow into their own building, or who wants to take on not 5,000 but 50,000 square feet, right? But that gives you the ability for them to go, man, this guy really shares a lot of interesting articles, well read about business. This makes sense. There's interviews with me talking with like other people who've grown their company from this tiny little startup to $100 million company, et cetera, right? So that's one thing. Now, the great thing about being in your business, Barry, is that the investor technically is always in the market, especially if they have funds that they need to deploy, because you have a timeline on the fund.
Yeah.
They need to understand ROI and what they can do. Like right now, perfect example. Okay, so if I wanted to send an email to my database, I can definitely with an investor send an email, hey, this is for sale. But if I send it to the owner user, he goes, I can't even pay my own mortgage right now, right? But if there's two different things. So what I would do is I could still send that email, this is for sale, but most people are apprehensive about buying something.
Right.
But what I could do is I could basically grab that video you did with Yona Wise about cost segregation and the advantages right now with the modifications I made with COVID, where I can actually keep more money in my pocket and mitigate my expenses and get credit for things. And I would say, let's say you're tracking, I don't know, 100 triple net properties, investment properties. Send it to your entire database, your funds, your investors, everybody else, and go, hey, John, hey, Tiffany, et cetera. You could just do a mass email that's personalized and go, hey, want to let you know, I just did this interview. Interesting stuff. Bullet point, bullet point, just less than, just make sure it's super short.
Right.
If you're interested, take a look at we go into a lot more detail there. If you have questions about your building, I'm happy to go and see what we can do to get some cost segregation for your building. Reply to let me know. Hope you're having a great day. P.S. I just listed this Carl's Jr. for sale in Minnesota. And we just reduced the price. We're thinking about reducing the price 50 grand or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Let me know if this is of interest as well.
No, it's a fantastic idea. You're giving information that you don't get paid on. I don't benefit from directly. It's, it's kind of the Gary Vee model, like jab, 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 right hook, which to me is give, 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 ask. That's fantastic. I love that.
Well, that's a way to do it. Like, think about this, right? Barry, you have your database you deal a lot with building owners and with investors, right?
Yeah.
So could you let's say the people who you're not doing business with yet, that you're pursuing, you're trying to get conversations with them, etc. You cold call them. Are they going to pay attention? You're the 50th broker that's reached out to them wanting to list their property. Everybody wants to list my property, right? But instead, what you do is you add me on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You post some interesting videos, maybe some listing videos, maybe that. You send me a personal email to introduce yourself, right? You do that over a period of 2-3 weeks. Then the next thing that you hit me with is, hey, Andrew, by the way, it was great meeting you on LinkedIn, or hey, just wanted to let you know about this thing about cost segregation that's going to help you do X, Y, and Z, especially now that you were having problems with the renters, right? Especially on the retail side.
Yeah.
P.S. We need this stuff. And then what you do is you think you can email that guy or that person, like, I don't know, every week, every 2 weeks, they'll turn you off. Like, they'll be unsubscribed. They don't know you from Adam. But if you start approaching with that and you add them on LinkedIn as well, and even buying ads to people targeting people who are commercial real estate investors on LinkedIn, and you can do it on Facebook and different things there. Now what you've done is you're in touch and stay top of mind. Everybody knows you, Barry. The brokers know you. The investors know you.
I appreciate
your target. Look at the comments that you get on your videos, and so you get just on your text posts, right? You're creating more engagement for people. So when you if Barry Wolfe calls me and I keep seeing him on my live feed, I don't interact with him, but I keep on seeing him, like, oh, I did not know about that, my building. Let me call him up, or maybe I didn't have a chance. And then you call me and you go, Barry, I was just looking at that video. I was thinking of calling you. And you and I have known each other for a month, but now you've been driving value. And now I'm looking forward to your videos because you helped me with my business.
You're right. You're bringing value. They'll take your call. You can reach out to them once a week, every couple of weeks, if you're bringing value and if you're showing concern for them.
Yeah. So I want to make a distinction here. So remember, if we go back to, I want to keep this short, but if we go back to what we talked about, we share about lead generation, what we call sales hacks, right? And then we're pitching Digsy, but in a very slight way. We just introduce ourselves. We're Digsy, what we do, and then we go into the content. People start following us. People start adding us. People start following our page. People start Googling. And finally, probably like the 8th or 10th time, then what we do is we constantly see people that interact or view our stuff, and they go and sign up for the platform like you did.
Right.
Right.
The first time.
So the other thing too that's interesting is that we can't email you all the time, Barry. I'm sure you've gotten our email blast in the past, et cetera. But as soon as you started seeing not only maybe some emails with saying, oh, yeah, that's an interesting opportunity for sale, because you have investors as well. So then you started seeing, okay, we added you on LinkedIn, and then you start seeing our posts and that. And look, I'm on your show now, which is fantastic. And we have a great relationship too.
Right.
I mean, we're part of exclusive groups within the LinkedIn stuff. Right. And the other thing too is, like, when you're going on LinkedIn, the great thing is right now, there's more and more people doing it. posting text and posting video and actually engaging with other people.
Yeah.
But it's the people who are doing it now are getting a lot more business and creating a lot more relationships and visibility like yourself.
Sure.
But think about this. This is how I wanted to tie it. When you, like, television's free, right? So when you go and watch a TV show, right, you're not paying to watch a TV show,
Right.
right? And it costs these studios millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to buy that season or that show. And what they're trying to do is attract the eyeballs so
Right.
that they can give you a Coca-Cola advertisement.
Right.
And consider this, what you want is you want your audience to sign up for your Barry Wolfe show, but it doesn't have to be a show. It can just be you on video talking about this, going to tour a property, just anything to show your face, or even text posts, or even a picture. And text could be great as long as you're providing content that's interesting. So it would be the CEO hack, growth hack show, or growth show, helping business owners how to do this. Hey, here's about leadership. Here's this. Here's a good video. I was talking, an interview with somebody else. And then they start seeing, and essentially the only commercial you have for your service is, hey, I'm Barry Wolfe with Wolfe Bites. I sell commercial real estate investment, triple net, blah, 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 at the beginning. And then you introduce yourself and then go, by the way, don't forget to subscribe and this and that. And now people consume that stuff.
Right.
And it's like, you're basically creating your own show for free. And a lot of this content you also supplement via email. So when people, you can create a newsletter, but you don't have to. You can actually, whenever, let's say couple of weeks, you send out content that's relevant to, if you're a tenant rep or an owner user, you send stuff that's relevant to the CEO. And then you make sure that all those people are on LinkedIn. There's a LinkedIn tool, like you can actually import your contacts from a spreadsheet. So if you export your Outlook or your spreadsheet of contacts or your CRM, you can actually import them all on LinkedIn. It will send them all invitations, and you should be doing that at least once a month. But that's the interesting thing. It's like, you just want people to get to know you, but in order to get to know what you do and stand out from the pack, you have to provide them the content that they want, not, hey, want to buy this, want to buy that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's over. That's over, and it's actually never worked. If you think about it, it's never worked.
No, you're right. I mean, and you stress that. I mean, I know I've known Rod Santomassimo for a number of years. He talks about know your avatar. I mean, that's exactly what you're saying. And you're right. Know your customer and give them content that they care about, not what you care about. You're right. 1,000%.
Yeah. Where have you seen success, Barry?
You mean on social or just in general?
In general, like what things that are counter culture have you had experience
like
with?
you said, staying in touch with people, providing them content, be a resource. You want to get it to where they're calling you. They're looking. I've had a couple of clients reach out to me today saying, we're considering XYZ. I need some information from you. What do you think of this? That's where you want to grow to, is where you're sharing information with them and they see you as somebody they can call, just looking for help, looking for information. And it's not always, you're not, you can always hit them up and keep asking, ask. They want to feel like they can reach out to you as a resource, like you are.
Dude, you want to know what pisses me off? And it's, remember we talked about they don't, the CRE professionals don't know their audience. So more and more brokers every day, people who have never, ever posted on video or on LinkedIn or been that active on LinkedIn, are posting now. And it's like, coronavirus, we work this. And it's like, here's a video of me. I'm a commercial real estate professional. I'm interviewing this landlord. And it's kind of like, know your freaking customer. They don't care about commercial real estate. They're moving every 5, 7 years, 3 years, whatever. Give them what they want. Give them what's important to them. Right? Yeah, coronavirus is a little snippet, but you want to create everlasting, you want to get their attention so they're always interacting with you. You kind of want to be like the Game of Thrones, even though I've never watched that show, but like the Game of Thrones, something that has a lot of pull for your customer. Like, for example, what if I just said like, asset ROI hacks, how to increase the value of your property by changing the paint color in the drive-through, right? Like, just like if I'm a building owner, I would subscribe to that.
No, and you make a great point. It's usually not real estate they care about. I mean, if I'm calling franchisees, they don't care about the real estate so much. It's what can they do to improve the return on their business? How can they improve sales? What can they do to maximize the drive-through lane? If I've got a tip for a franchisee that they can add value to their drive-through, they'll take that call. They don't care that I'm pitching them on a piece of real estate, more than likely, particularly right now.
Yeah, and you about 10%, 15% should be real estate. If you're doing, like, for example, on your end, you're dealing a lot with investors and buyers, and they kind of want to see. So there's two topics. That's the beauty about being in the investment world. Everybody's always in the market. So you can actually do most of your content on real estate, but then they're also interested in their tenants. So for
Correct.
example, let's say I want to go pitch, there's this big investment firm, and I think I have an in, or I know that their broker is not that great, or maybe they're transitioning to something else. Or maybe there's an opportunity they do business with a different firm out of the market, but they don't have a presence here. I would go literally to their center that they own, that I would love to have, and interview their tenants, and take a quick video and just ask for permission. You just want to interview like the hard times, and send them the video and be like, hey, by the way, I interviewed your tenants. Here's what they had to say.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I love those ideas. And you're right. I think it's things that most of us are not doing in sales, and it's not just real estate in reality, or honestly, it's even in life. So now you've got those are great ideas. I love it. Thanks for joining us today, Andrew. I love your videos. I do watch them online. You do a fantastic job. What's the best way for folks reach you, learn more about Digsy?
Yeah. So go to getdigsy.com. So that's GET as in Tom, D as in dog, IGSY.com. You can find me, Andrew Bermudez, on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Twitter. It's at Andrew Bermudez, so BERMUDEZ. Drop me a line and add me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. I'm also active on Twitter. But if you're in commercial real estate, you gotta be on LinkedIn. There's 61 million people who are C-level and above, and decision influencers, and also decision makers. And 40 million of them out of 61 million, there's 40 million. So if you're in commercial real estate and you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing the greatest resource ever, because it is happening, and soon everybody's going to be on it, and you're missing out.
Right. That's awesome. Real quick, 30 seconds. What's the meaning of Digsy? Where's that come from? The name?
It's a short story, but basically it's just taken after the word digs. Let me check out your digs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Awesome. Well, have a fantastic rest of the week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll certainly be seeing each other on LinkedIn.
All right. Thanks, Barry.
Have a great
See you,
day.
man. Bye.